It was April 14th, 1912, when the majestic Titanic hit an iceberg slowly began to sink. If you watch the old black and white movie called A Night to Remember, or the remake that many of us have seen to the Titanic, you may remember that many of the lifeboats which were launched from the ship that night were only half filled. In fact, of the 18 lifeboats that launched from the ship, there were a total of 472 spaces still unused. After the ship disappeared into the water, about 1,500 people floundered in that icy cold water, while the lifeboats sat at a distance watching, many afraid that the dying might come to them and sink their lifeboats. Only 2 of the 18 lifeboats went to rescue the survivors. They transferred passengers to maximize and to free up space. It is a recorded fact that some of the first-class passengers complained about the terrible inconvenience of going to rescue the others. By the time those lifeboats had recalled their purpose and went to rescue the victims, only 9 people were found, and 3 of them eventually died of hypothermia. So let me ask you, what does this church look like? Does this church look like one of the lifeboats launched from the Titanic? There's many unused seats here today too. We need to ask ourselves, why does the church exist? What is our purpose? What is our mission? Like Jesus, we have been sent to seek and to save those who are suffering and dying, floundering in the cold, dark waters. Yet as a church, we often sit at a distance, more concerned about our own needs and our comfort. Now, if a few people swam over to us, of course, we'd help them. But to go out to them? The church is a lifeboat. It exists to rescue people. But we are usually happy just to maintain our lifeboats. We paint them. We serve people in them. We keep them in good order. We even hold hard socials. But we do not use them really for the purpose for which they were created. And any crew member who would dare disrupt life on the lifeboat will quickly hear the complaints from the passengers who were opposed to being inconvenienced in any way. Yes, indeed, we are sad when we hear that our children, that our families no longer go to church. We are sad when we hear about the loss of faith in our world. And we are sad when we hear about churches closing. But it doesn't even occur to us to pick up the oars and to row the boat. Today's gospel is once again speaking to us about our mission, the mission of the church. What is our mission? We heard that mission proclaimed only 4 weeks ago on Ascension Sunday. Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them and teaching them to obey all I have commanded you. Today, Jesus is saying to us, don't be afraid. Pick up the oars and row. Don't be afraid to be the church, to be a lifeboat I commanded you to be. Don't be afraid. Be like Jeremiah, the prophet we heard in that first reading, who accepted his vocation as a prophet. Remember, each of us has been baptized, also as priest, prophet, and king. Even though Jeremiah heard the whisperings, the denouncements, which we often hear in social media or behind closed doors and so on, Jeremiah feared no one because the Lord was with him, as we heard, like a dread warrior. He was not going to leave his side. So Jeremiah realized it doesn't have to be this way. And so someone in that lifeboat realized that they too could be a prophet as well, and they stood up and cried, we need to rescue those people in the cold and dark waters. We need to go and to rescue those people in the cold, dark waters. We need to go and to rescue those people in the cold, dark waters. Don't be afraid of the words we hear time and again throughout the scriptures. Don't be afraid when you hear the word in evangelization or mission. Jesus says, "Fear no one who might complain that you are disrupting their comfortable life." There are people out there who are in the dark and cold waters waiting to be rescued. You are the first-class passengers, the ones who got into the lifeboats to be rescued this first Sunday morning as we begin opening the doors of the church. And look, there's still room for many on this lifeboat. My friends, indeed, it is wonderful to be here, to be able to come together as a community to celebrate this great gift of the Eucharist. But if we come here only to receive this great, powerful, and beautiful gift of the Eucharist, then we've missed the boat. We have a mission to go and to make disciples of all nations, baptizing them and teaching them to obey all that God has commanded us to do. Don't be afraid that if we keep rescuing people, eventually somebody's going to take our seat at church. Never, ever again tell anyone that they're sitting in your seat when you arrive at church. Don't worry. We'll build another church. We'll build another lifeboat. We'll build a bigger church if we have to. It's not an inconvenience. It's our mission. Don't be afraid. Pick up the oars and row.